The storm didn't wait for nightfall. It rose out of nowhere, devouring the daylight as if the sky itself were collapsing. And in the heart of that chaos stood Aurelia Vaughn, one of the youngest billionaires in the country, clutching a trembling phone in her hand as her world unraveled in a matter of minutes. It was supposed to be the greatest day of her career, the launch of a life-changing medical wearable her company had spent years developing, the final push that would secure her empire. Instead, every screen in the building turned red with catastrophic system failures. Millions were lost. Investors began withdrawing. Rumors exploded across social media. The company that Aurelia had built from nothing was collapsing right in front of her, and she could do nothing but watch. If you believe in kindness, humanity, and the power of second chances, make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Midnight Reports. It helps so much more than you know. Aurelia staggered into the empty executive hallway, too overwhelmed to feel anything but the crushing weight pressing against her ribs. The world saw her as unbreakable, a fierce woman with sharp heels, sharper instincts, and a spotless reputation built on precision and control. But in that quiet corridor, she felt small, fragile, lost. Her success had turned into glass beneath her feet, shattering faster than she could gather the pieces. She'd spent years sacrificing sleep, friendships, holidays, relationships, all for this moment, only for fate to tear it away in a single afternoon. She pressed her palms against the cold marble wall and whispered, barely audible, "I can't do this, not again." Unknown to her, someone had heard. Elias Mercer, a janitor working the day shift for the first time, paused as he rounded the corner with his cleaning cart. He was tall but carried himself quietly, as if trying not to take up space. A single father working 2 jobs to raise his 8-year-old son, Rowan, he rarely crossed paths with the elite floor where the executives worked. But today he had been called up to handle an emergency spill, and now he found himself witnessing a moment he was never meant to see. He recognized the woman instantly. Everyone did. Aurelia Vaughn, glorious, brilliant, impossibly distant. Except now she looked nothing like the pictures and articles in magazines. Her hair was loose, her breath unsteady, her shoulders trembling beneath the weight of a collapsing empire. Elias hesitated. He wasn't supposed to talk to executives unless spoken to. But something about the helplessness in her posture tugged at him. He knew what defeat looked like, he'd felt it 100 times since his wife passed away, leaving him with a child, an empty bank account, and a life he didn't know how to rebuild. Quietly, gently, he said, "Ma'am? Are you all right?" Aurelia flinched at the voice. She turned and froze at the sight of him, this humble man in a faded uniform, holding a mop and looking as though he regretted speaking but cared too much to stay silent. She wanted to tell him she was fine. That she didn't need help. That she didn't break. But the lie was too heavy to lift. I'm losing everything," she whispered. Elias nodded slowly, not with pity, but with understanding. Sometimes losing everything feels like the end. But sometimes it's where something new starts. The words, simple and sincere, cut deeper than any polished speech she'd heard from her board, lawyers, or advisors. She blinked rapidly, wiping away the tears before they fell. But Elias continued, speaking with the quiet conviction of someone who learned wisdom from hardship, not privilege. "You built something incredible once," he said. "If it fell apart today, that doesn't erase all the days it stood strong. You can build again. You just need a moment to breathe." Aurelia stared at him, struck by the strange warmth rising in her chest. No one talked to her like that. Not with honesty. Not without expectation. "Take a walk," Elias suggested. "Clear your head. Come back when you can see past the panic. Problems don't shrink, but we grow strong enough to face them." She didn't know why she listened. But she did. She walked down the stairs, out of the building, into the bright chaos of daytime traffic. Each breath felt slightly easier than the last. And somewhere between the honking cars and hurried crowds, she replayed his words like a calming echo. When she returned, something shifted. Aurelia walked straight into the operations room, shoulders square. She requested data logs, pinpointed the root cause, and within an hour discovered something the entire tech team had overlooked. A coding loop buried deep inside the update's security layer had triggered a chain reaction fixable with patience, impossible under panic. She rallied her engineers, took accountability publicly, and initiated an emergency patch that not only restored the system but strengthened it. Investors slowly calmed. Clients returned. The numbers began to stabilize. Everything they feared irreversible started falling back into place. But Aurelia couldn't forget the moment when she'd nearly shattered, or the unlikely person who stopped the fall. The next morning, she searched for Elias. She found him in a supply closet, repairing a broken vacuum. "You saved my company," she said without preamble. Elias froze, startled. "No, ma'am. You did." Aurelia shook her head. "You gave me clarity when I had none. You gave me strength when I was empty. That changed everything." For a moment, neither spoke. Then Aurelia did something that stunned the entire building, something that made every employee think differently about the woman they once believed untouchable. She asked Elias about his life. She listened. And what she learned humbled her. The single father balancing two jobs. The late nights. The quiet struggles. The exhaustion he carried with grace. Without hesitation, she offered him a new role, not one given out of pity, but recognition. A leadership position in employee wellness, to help the company rebuild its culture with compassion at its core. Elias had lived the struggles most people overlook. He understood humanity in ways no executive could. For the first time in years, Aurelia smiled, not the polished smile for cameras, but a real one. And in the days that followed, her company changed. She changed. Not because she regained her status, but because she rediscovered something she had lost long ago, the power of kindness, humility, and human connection.